Good to get back, and you're still watching Smart Means Business. Good morning. Let's get into our third hour of the show, and it's 3 minutes of 8 o'clock. We kickstart off this hour with our business tip of the morning. Business tip says user experience is everything. It always has been, but it's undervalued and underinvested in. If you don't know user-centered design, study it. Hire people who know it, obsess over it, live and breathe it. Get your whole company on board. This is the business tip that is actually saying user experience is everything. It has always been, and it's undervalued and quite underinvested in. If you don't know user-centered design, study it, hire people who know it, obsess over it, live and breathe it, get whole your company on board for it, because user experience, it gives you back the direct feedback of the kind of information that you're giving out to the people. So that is one thing that you should be considering at the end of the day, and that is what the business tip is apparently saying this morning. And then to our business quote, John C. Maxwell says that a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. That is according to John C. Maxwell. So if you are the leader, you have to make sure that you show the way, go the way, and definitely choose that same way. You know the way, you are following the way, and you're showing people the same way. So if you are a leader, you have to be able to at least execute all that. You have to be at least ahead of the rest when it comes to going the right, or choosing the right direction. Besides that, let's get our social media trends this time around, as our social media trends take us to Mbarara City. Having heard of the information that Mbarara City will host the Tarehe Sita celebrations next week, this has apparently sparked off different discussions of how ready the city is and how it has already been able to prepare not only for Tarehe Sita but for the business community in there. This and more in our social media trends. Now, Delhi Derek at Delhi Derek says Mbarara is the land of milk and honey, but where is the honey? Then Kanduho Peter at Kanduho P says Mbarara City will host this year's 42nd Tarehe Sita commemoration anniversary, that is on the 6th of February 2023. And Tsami Manini 1, that by the way you all should visit Mbarara and take a game drive through Lake Mburo National Park. It is effortlessly beautiful. Then Ochaka Benin at Rogers Openda says Uganda People's Defense Forces cleaned some parts of Mbarara City, specifically Chianja and Katete suburbs, to strengthen their existing relationship with the people. The symbolic civil-military activities in the city that started on 28th January will run up to 6th February during the Tarehe Sita celebrations. Then at B Honey, with the hashtag Tarehe Sita UG, hashtag UPDF at 42. Congratulations to our brothers and sisters. At UPDF spokesperson, at CDF UPDF, at UPDF, at Kaguta Museveni, we appreciate at UPDF Engineering Brigade for the renovation of the OPD block at Bwera Health Center 4 in Mbarara. That is according to at B Honey's tweet. Then at Now Specialist at Nabimara Paul and at Nabimara_Paul says almost all border guys in Mbarara don't wear helmets and reflectors. Where does this leave Uganda's opposition? Then Mazima News at Mazima UG with the hashtag Mazima News says Mbarara City authorities reduce market rent fees following vendors' petitions, with a pictorial of the Mbarara market. And then all at Musupa M, that is Molik had tweeted that if you frequent some eateries or bars around, and always notice you find some same faces there. Most of them have been there or employed, are actually paid to be table fillers. That's their job, and they show up every day. Most of them who are wako kazi. Now, according to Jamie at Jamie Charity, says that same applies to when you getting a taxi from Ishaka to Mbarara. People are paid to fill the seats. That is Jamie at Jamie Charity. And of course, that is it for the social media trends following that particular one, as Mbarara also prepares to host the Tarehe Sita celebrations, the 42nd Tarehe Sita celebrations, come the 6th of February 2023. And now we're off to our business updates this morning, as this time around we look at the physical consolidation in Uganda's economic recovery journey. And one of the key issues is that budget cuts are necessary and important, as well as decreasing on the national budget. This is something that is already being implemented by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. But inflation that we are currently having sometimes is due to high food prices, and there's also another huge need to address that. We get more of this one in our update this morning.
The important element also that we have seen in this proposal is fiscal consolidation. Fiscal consolidation in our layman's language is budget cuts. I think it is a discipline that the government must spend. You cut a cloth, or you want to cut a coat by its size. You should spend the money you have. You just can't have a blank check as a government. Otherwise, our debt levels would extremely be so high. So budget cuts are important, especially in areas where there is wastage. There is a lot of duplication. Our capacity even to spend the money we have borrowed is not there. We are given money and then we return it back to Treasury. We borrow money, we don't even use all of it, and we start paying commitment fees. So that fiscal consolidation is very, 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 very important and very, very, very good. That we really think that we need to maintain that. But we need to cut where it is needed. We don't need to just cut everything anyhow. There must be a very good criteria to do that. The third component is that we have finished the review of NDP 3. Fellow Ugandans, is that when the government starts something and finishes it, you should congratulate it, because in most cases things never get finished. And NDP being the flag program document for economic recovery, we needed to review it because of COVID. A number of things took place that we had not anticipated. So it's very important, very, 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 very important. Lastly is that we seem now to be dealing with inflation. It has subdued. There has been a spike of January from 10.2 to 10.4 because of the increase in the rice. And I think this is a lesson that our inflation is not about anything else but about food production. So really, those are the key major elements. But of course others, we are seeing some serious investment in e-government, which is very important. However, we think we cannot achieve the objectives of NDP if certain things are not put in order or are not addressed. Top among these is to address leakages within the government system. And leakages, we mean issues about misappropriation of resources. We mean issues around misallocation of resources. We mean issues around returning back money which you had budgeted for. So we need to stop the leakage. In fact, in our assessment, we believe that the amount of money we have is enough, only that we are spending on different things that are not important to us. The second element, we need to reduce the duplication of government agencies. Every agency wants to start up a system. Every agency is doing, most agencies are doing work of different other agencies. For example, you've heard that every agency wants to do community mobilization. And it community mobilization belongs to the Ministry of Gender. You'll find agencies, they want to start industrial zones. But we have an industrial zone authority, if you can talk about that. So when you reduce duplication, you strengthen coordination, and then you reduce the wastage of government resources. So we need to invest in that to ensure that we reduce on this duplication. Thirdly is we need to start saving. Especially we can save on the rationalization of agencies. And I've said it again, as long as we keep on having so many agencies doing the same things, for us as Ugandans, we are not benefiting anything out of them, rather we are paying the cost. The lastly is, I think we need to deal with the debt. The debt question is bringing its ugly head in a form that is impacting on the well-being of Ugandans. Forget about that we are above the targets and no. This is about our government having less resources to finance its own development. We have realized that despite the increase in the budget to 50 trillion, amount available for government to spend on its own minus debt has reduced by 2.5 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, that is almost 2 times the budget for agriculture. So that kind of regression means that you are not going to have money to deal with, God forbid, if we have another shock, we're in a very, very, very bad situation. That is why I think we have a challenge of prioritizing government programs. Which one comes first? The point is, you need a healthy and educated population to engage in agriculture. But a hungry population will not go to school, also fall sick. So it becomes a chicken and an egg problem. So there must be a balance. You can't have human capital as number 1 and you have agriculture as number 5. Maybe number 2 or number 3. So you have that particular balance that even when you are healthy and you want to go to agriculture, you also need to have enough food to be able to remain healthy, to go to school and be productive in any other area. So the balance is what is, I think, is missing. But also specifically, what are we investing in agriculture in? People are talking about irrigation, but ordinary citizens are not going to use equipment and start, no, they need a small scale irrigation, solar powered irrigation. But I think the challenge in agriculture is not about water, it's about markets. Today, if you tell farmers you want squared watermelons and there's a guaranteed market for them, they will produce them. They will look for their own seeds, their own extension services, they will go and learn about it and produce them. So I think we need to invest heavily on markets, and that is a game changer for us.
When you look at the physical policy, the physical policies that are being set in Uganda here to at least man the use of government spending and taxation that is likely to influence the economy, among the other key issues that the government is looking forward to realizing this particular initiative of economic recovery. There is budget cuts that are ongoing, because if you're to look at the kind of situation with the fact that the current financial year that we are in of 48.1 trillion shillings goes back to the kind of situation that the budget framework paper this time around presented is roughly 50 trillion Ugandan shillings. This, at the end of the day, clearly shows you that there are some budget cuts per sector that the government is intending to at least do to ensure that this does not push further. And then there is also something to do with a need to input more money in the agriculture sector. We furthermore know that at the end of the day, the agricultural sector is what we term as the backbone of our economy, we as Ugandans. So as we continue to look at it as the backbone of the economy, it is kind of the similar situation that we should as well try to consider pushing further and beyond. Because if it's the backbone of the economy, we have to push it, investing more money in there, so every other stakeholder or every other player within the sector or within the economy or within the economic circle of agriculture should as well be included in it. And furthermore, as we look at economic recovery, you get to realize that value addition should be one of the key aspects in agriculture, which means we are pushing in for machinery use or use of advanced technology within the agricultural sector, reason being that if we are to at least increase on the levels of production in the agriculture sector, we should be shooting higher, not only focusing on the kind of subsistence farming, but also focusing way beyond into commercial agriculture. So this is one of the key things that we should be considering, especially the other players within Uganda's agriculture space. Now, also on the same matter, when you look at the national debt, which is likely to be dealt with, it should be one of those, one of the key aspects that Uganda should be working upon. We should be able to work on the national debt with urgency at the end of it all, if we are to at least set up a physical consolidation in economic recovery in Uganda today. But also, the budget cuts are continuously moving on. Then there is something to do with fighting corruption. If you're to look at some of these particular situations, one of the key challenges that we're having as a country and implementation of further the other discussions is the issue to do with corruption. The corruption tendencies within the country that goes back to the bribery in public offices or public spaces has actually limited the progress and the development of our nation, and it's something that we should be able to work upon as a country and ensure that it does not eat up the entire space, however much it is actually eating up or piling up every other day. But as the IGG's office is actually working hand with other authorities, among which include the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, to ensure that they strive to, to put a fix onto these corruption tendencies. But well, not only that, as we continue to get more of this particular issue of economic recovery, you need to as well understand that there are lots of things that we need to work upon. Now, for example, the private sector players, the SMEs, for example, the taxman has forever been able to encourage non-taxpayers to at least comply to the issues of taxes and as well remit these taxes, because at the end of the day, tax compliance also adds a lot to the economic recovery and the economic stability, because it is under which, through the tax mobilization process, tax collection, that the taxman will collect the money that is supposed to be added into the value chain, which the value chain is basically rotating around provision of social services, and not only that, setting up different or giving out, allocating different funds to different sectors, which sectors will be fundamental in the economic recovery of the country. Not been an easy 2022, it does not seem to be an easy 2023, but well, steady progress is where we are definitely heading to. The parish development model for the grassroots is amongst the other key programs that the government is looking forward to looking at to ensure that the country moves on well and well thought about. And when you look at Uganda's kind of situation, Uganda has actually been on an expansionary fiscal policy, which is pretty much driven by the need of fiscal stimuli following the global downturn, especially when you look at the issue to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, then the aftermath of that, which led to the Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And this is actually creating a need to bridge a huge infrastructure deficit for the country. And the expansionary fiscal policy is driven by priority public infrastructure projects financed through deficit financing, which is one of the key things that is actually eating up our economy today. And we need to strongly work towards enforcing a more standard relationship in there. And when you look back closely, a few weeks back, Uganda's fiscal surplus was at $4.12 billion. That is according to the report, and but apparently missed the proposed budget. According to the report of the government report, shortfalls under revenue and grants for December 2022, Uganda's government fell short of achieving the 2022 revenue surplus target by 180.51 billion shillings. That is roughly $42.9 million due to underperforming revenue sources. That is according to sources within the media. To be more precise, the Daily Monitor. Now, the overall fiscal surplus reached 335.42 billion shillings. That is roughly $4.12 billion in December 2022. That is now lower than the expected surplus of 515.93 billion shillings, according to the Ministry of Finance in the monthly macroeconomic policy report. And when you look at the domestic revenue collections, they apparently stood at 2.634 trillion shillings as of December last year, against a target of 2.950 trillion shillings, as tax and non-tax collections registered shortfalls in the same report. The same report did not as well. Okay, and as we're heading into the break, the Zabu markets are officially opened. It's 23 minutes off 8 o'clock. The markets opened at 8:15 a.m. So you should be able to quickly invest before you start up your business. They invest some good money there. Invest in government bonds. If you have 15,000 with you now, 20,000, 30. The minimum amount is 15. So if you have more than 15,000, you're easy. Your life is very easy for you to invest today. Invest in government bonds. Learn more about other products. Invest, sell, and of course, try to choose a maturity period for your bond. And then remember, the markets open at 8:15 a.m. They will be closed at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Zabu's markets are officially all fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future. Zabu, my money, my future. Baltic East Africa, do something new. When I do return after the break, I've got Karibu East Africa and the latest from the SMB International News. No, not that. I have the sports business and the latest coming in from the world of entertainment business. Almost took you back to the first hour of the show. But when we do return, lots of that is coming up. It's Friday, and you should be able to know a little bit more of what is coming in from those spaces as well. Good morning.